Listen to me. I don't care how big your dreams are, how much money you make, or how many trophies you got on your shelf. If you're not thankful, you're never going to be truly happy. Every single day is a gift. You didn't earn the air in your lungs this morning. You didn't buy that sunrise. You didn't order your heartbeat online. It's grace. And the crazy part, we walk around acting like we're owed something. Now, life doesn't owe you a thing. Here's the truth. When you wake up with gratitude, your whole world changes. You see opportunities instead of problems. You see blessings instead of burdens. You see people instead of obstacles. But you got to make thankfulness a habit, not a holiday. Stop waiting for Thanksgiving to say, I'm grateful. Stop waiting for perfect days to smile. Stop waiting for big wins to clap for yourself. Start being thankful for today, even if it's messy, even if it's hard, even if it's not the way you planned it. Because happiness isn't about what you have. It's about how you see what you have. I learned this. When you focus on what you don't have, life feels heavy. But when you focus on what you do have, life feels rich, even if your bank account is on zero. Gratitude doesn't just change your mood. It changes your moves. It gives you energy. It makes you more resilient, and it keeps you grounded when life tries to shake you. So here's the challenge. Before you check your phone, before you scroll Instagram, before you complain about what's wrong, take a second and say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for my breath. Thank you for another shot. Thank you for the people who love me. Thank you for the fight in me that didn't let me quit. Happiness is not hidden in what you want next. It's right here in what you already have. Be thankful every day. That's the real secret. Listen to me. Gratitude is a choice, not a circumstance. Too many of you are walking around thinking that thankfulness is something that just happens to you when life lines up the way you want. You think that when you get the job, when you get the money, when the relationship is perfect, when the storm is over, then you'll be thankful. But I'm here to tell you, if that's how you live, you're never going to truly experience happiness. You're going to have bills you didn't expect. You're going to have people who hurt you. You're going to have people who hurt you. You're going to have mornings where you don't feel like getting up. And if you're waiting for life to hand you a perfect die before you choose gratitude, you might never choose it at all. Gratitude is a decision. It's something you wake up and choose before you even know what the day is going to bring. It's an attitude you decide to walk in no matter what your circumstances look like. You've got to make up in your mind, I'm going to be thankful today, whether I want or not. That's the difference between people who are happy and people who are happy and people who are always chasing happiness. The happy ones decided that they were going to be thankful before anything happened. They lived from the inside out, not the outside in. Think about it. If your gratitude depends on your circumstances, then your emotions are on the leash tied to everything you can't control. You're letting other people's choices decide your mood. You're letting your bank account tell you whether or not you're going to have peace today. You're letting the weather, the traffic, the opinions of strangers determine whether you're going to smile. And you wonder why you feel like a roller coaster. You can't live like that and expect to feel steady. You can't live like that and expect to feel joy. Gratitude breaks that leash. It says, I'm in control of my response. I decide how I'm going to feel. I choose to be thankful, period. Some of you think, well, that's easy for someone who has everything they want. No, gratitude is not easier for people who have it all. In fact, some of the most ungrateful people in the world are the ones with the most money, the most power, the biggest houses, because they got everything they were chasing and still felt empty. Gratitude is not about the size of your blessings. It's about your ability to see them. You can have a little and feel like you have a lot, and you can have a lot and feel like you have nothing. That's why gratitude is a choice. I've been in seasons of my life where I didn't have two pennies to rub together, but I woke up thankful that I had another day to grind. Thankful that I still had a voice. Thankful that I still had a dream in my heart that hadn't died. And you know what happened? That attitude didn't just make me feel better. It positioned me to work harder, to be creative, to see opportunities I would have missed if I had been too busy complaining. Gratitude changes the way you see the world. And when you change the way you see the world, you change the way you move in. Here's the thing. Choosing gratitude doesn't mean you ignore reality. It doesn't mean you pretend everything's fine when it's not. It doesn't mean you stop wanting to improve your life. It just means that while you're on your way to where you want to be, you don't let what's missing blind you to what's already here. It means that you can be thankful for the progress even if you haven't reached the goal. It means you can be thankful for the lesson even if the pain is still fresh. It means you can be thankful for the opportunity to fight even if you haven't won yet. A lot of people confuse gratitude with passivity. They think if you're thankful for where you are, you will never push for more. But that's not true. Gratitude is not complacency. It's fuel. It gives you energy to keep going because you're not weighed down by resentment. It's hard to run a race when you're carrying the weight of everything that's wrong with your life. Gratitude drops that weight. It says, yeah, my life isn't perfect, but I'm going to celebrate the fact that I'm still in the race. When you make gratitude a choice, you stop being reactive and you start being intentional. You don't just let life happen to you. You take control of your perspective. Every morning, you got a decision to make. Am I going to focus on what's wrong or am I going to focus on what's right? You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control what you magnify. If you magnify the problems get bigger. If you magnify the blessings get bigger. What you feed grows, and gratitude is how you feed joy. Some of you need to start practicing gratitude like it's a workout. Just like you don't get strong in the gym by going, you don't build a thankful heart by thinking about it every now and then. You got to make it a daily discipline. Write down 3 things you're thankful for every morning. Tell somebody you appreciate them every day. Stop before you eat and think about the fact that you have food in front of you. It's not cheesy. It's training your mind to see what's good. And the more you train it, the stronger it gets. You've got to understand, there's always going to be something in your life that's not the way you want it. Always. You can solve one problem and another will show up. That's life. But if you let problems be the dictator of your joy, you're never going to win. Gratitude says, yes, this is hard, but look at what's still good. Gratitude says, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. Gratitude says, I might have lost some things, but I still have enough to move forward. This is why it's a choice, because there will always be evidence for why you could complain. But there will also always be evidence for why you could be thankful. Which evidence are you going to focus on? Which voice are you going to listen to? The voice that says it's not enough, or the voice that says it's more than enough. That's your call. Nobody can make that choice for you. The people who live with true happiness are the ones who made gratitude their default setting. They don't have perfect lives. They have trained eyes. They look for the good until they find it. And when you look for the good every day, you start to see it everywhere. It's like when you buy a car and suddenly you see that car on every street. The blessings were always there. You just start noticing them. So I'm telling you today, don't wait for life to hand you a reason to be thankful. Don't wait for the promotion, the dream house, the perfect moment. Decide that you're going to live in gratitude now. Decide that no matter what's going around you, you will find something to appreciate. When you do that, you take the power back. You stop letting circumstances dictate your joy, and you start living with a happiness that nothing can steal. Because gratitude is not the product of a perfect life. It's the foundation of a joyful one. And you have the power to build it starting right now. Every breath is a blessing. I need you to stop right here and really think about that. I know you've heard it before. I know it sounds like one of those inspirational quotes people post online. But I'm telling you, this is deeper than a nice saying. It's a truth that should shake you every morning you wake up. Because the fact that you're here breathing is proof that you've been given another chance. And the crazy part, you didn't do anything to earn that breath. You didn't work overtime to get it. You didn't pay for it. It wasn't guaranteed. It was given. It's great, pure, and simple. See, we live in a world that has trained us to take the basics for granted. We wake up, we open our eyes, we breathe, we stand up, we move, and we don't even think about it. We act like it's automatic. But let me tell you, there are people right now fighting for one more breath in a hospital bed. There are people whose entire day is a battle just to do what you did effortlessly this morning. And when you understand that, when you truly grasp how fragile life is, you stop letting little things steal your joy. You've got to realize your breath is your ticket to the day. If you woke up this morning, it means you're still in the game. It means there's still hope. It means the story isn't over yet. You might be behind in the score. You might feel like the odds are stacked against you. But as long as you're breathing, you have a chance to turn it around. That's why I say every breath is a blessing, because it's another opportunity to get it right. Another opportunity to chase the dream. Another opportunity to make a difference. The problem is, we act like our time is unlimited. We waste days complaining. We waste energy comparing. We waste moments scrolling through somebody else's life while hours is passing us by. But if you knew that today might be your last, you move differently. You love harder. You forgive faster. You stop waiting for someday to live. That's why gratitude for your breath isn't just about being positive. It's about urgency. It's about living like you understand how precious the gift is. Think about the things you stress over. The bills, the deadlines, the arguments, the things that didn't go your way. I'm not saying they don't matter, but they don't outweigh the blessing of simply being alive. Because you can fix a mistake tomorrow, but only if you have a tomorrow. You can rebuild what you lost, but only if you're still here. You can make a comeback from anything, but not if your time is up. So when you open your eyes in the morning and feel that first breath fill your lungs, understand that you've already received the greatest blessing you could get today. Everything else is extra. This is why some people can go through hell and still smile. They've learned to appreciate the fact that they still have life. I've met people who've been through tragedy, loss, heartbreak, and yet they walk with this unshakable peace. You know why? Because they don't measure their life by what they've lost. They measure it by the fact that they still have breath. They understand as long as they're here, they still have purpose. And that's the next part. Your breath is proof you still have purpose. You're not breathing by accident. You're not just here to take up space. There's something in you that still needs to be done. Somebody out there still needs your story, your help, your love, your example. There's a reason God didn't let you take your last breath last night. And until you complete that purpose, you're going to keep waking up. Not because you deserve it, but because you're still on assignment. So the question becomes, what are you doing with your breaths? Are you using them to complain? Are you wasting them arguing over things that won't matter a year from now? Are you using them to tear people down, to gossip, to spread negativity? Or are you using them to build, to encourage, to push forward, to leave something behind that matters? Every breath is a blessing, but it's also a responsibility. You've been given another shot. Now do something with it. And I'm not saying you have to do something the whole world will see. Sometimes the most important thing you can do with your breath today is tell someone you love them. Sometimes it's forgiving someone so you can boldly breathe easier. Sometimes it's taking a moment to just sit in silence and appreciate the fact that you're alive. But you've got to stop walking through life on autopilot. Every inhale, every exhale is a reminder that you're still in the fight. It's a reminder that the pain you feel means you're still here to heal. It's a reminder that the joy you experience is possible because you haven't run out of time. That's why when I wake up in the morning, before I touch my phone, before I think about my to-do list, I stop and I say, thank you. Thank you for my breath. Thank you for my breath. Thank you for another chance to get this right. One day you're going to take your last breath and you won't know when it's coming. You won't get a calendar invite for it. It could be 50 years from now or it could be today. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because when you live with the awareness that your breaths are numbered, you stop wasting them. You start choosing your words carefully. You start choosing your actions carefully. You start living in a way that if today was the last, you be proud of how you spent I need you to start seeing your breath the way you see a paycheck. If I gave you $1,000 and told you it's all you get for the rest of your life, you spend it carefully. You make every dollar count. That's how you need to see your breaths. Limited, valuable, worth protected. Don't waste them on bitterness. Don't waste them on fear. Don't waste them on excuses. Spend them on something that matters. You might be thinking that sounds good, but I've got real problems right now. I can't just think about breathing. And I get it, and life is hard. But I'm telling you, the fact that you're breathing is the foundation for fixing those problems, no matter how bad it is. The one thing you can be grateful for in this exact moment is that you have the ability to try again. Because the moment that breath stops, all of that is over. So, if you woke up today with breath in your lungs, I need you to walk different. I need you to talk different. I need you to carry yourself like someone who's been given a miracle, because you have. You might not have the house you want yet. You might not be in the relationship you want yet. You might not have the money you want yet. But you have the most valuable resource on earth, time. Time. And your breath is proof of it. That's why I say every breath is a blessing. Not because it's a nice thing to say, but because it's the truth. And it's the foundation of everything else you want. And when you start to value it, when you start to protect it, when you start to see it for what it is, you stop waiting for life to be perfect, to be thankful. You realize life itself is the reason to be thankful. And when you get to that place, happiness stops being something you chase. It becomes something you carry with you every single breath you take. Focus on what's present, not what's missing. I need you to hear me on this. The quickest way to drain your joy, your motivation, and your peace is to put all your attention on what you don't have. The quickest way to feel like you're not enough, that your life isn't enough, is to obsess over the gaps instead of the ground you've already covered. And here's the problem. Most of us have been trained to look for the lack. We scroll through social media and see someone with a bigger house, a nicer car, a better vacation. And instead of appreciating what's in front of us, we immediately think about what's not. We walk into our jobs and think about the promotion we didn't get instead of the fact that we're employed. No. We open our closet and see all the clothes we already own, but still say, I've got nothing to wear. We are addicted to focusing on the missing pieces. Then we wonder why we feel incomplete. I'm telling you, your life will change when you flip that switch. When you start focusing on what's here instead of what's absent, you take your power back. Because here's the truth. There's always going to be something missing. Always. You can make more money. You can be in a better relationship. You can have a healthier body. You could live in a nicer house. No matter how good your life is, there will be areas that aren't where you want them to be. But if you keep staring at the empty part of the glass, you'll miss the fact that there's water in it at all. You have to understand, the mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you focus on gets bigger. If you focus on what's missing, the absence grows until it's all you can see. But if you focus on what's present, the blessings grow until they dominate your vision. And it's not that your problems disappear, it's that your perspective shifts. Problems look smaller when you're not magnifying them every second of the day. Blessings look bigger when you actually take time to notice them. I'll give you an example. I've been in seasons of my life where I didn't have everything I wanted. I was grinding, I was pushing, and my vision was way bigger than my current reality. And it would have been so easy to look at my situation and say, oh, man, I don't have enough yet. They don't have the platform I want. I don't have the opportunities I need. But I learned to pause and say, wait, I've got my help. I've got my voice. I've got people who believe in me. I've got the drive to keep going. And when I focus on what I did have, I realized I had more than enough to take the next step. And that's the key. You can't move forward if all you see is what's missing. But if you look at what's here, you realize you already have something to work with. Some of you are stuck right now. Not because you don't have enough, but because you're blind to what you already have. You're sitting on skills you haven't developed because you're too busy wishing for someone else's talent. You're surrounded by opportunities, but you can't see them because you're fixated on the one door that closed. You got people in your life who care about you, but you're ignoring them because you're chasing the attention of someone who doesn't. You're literally stepping over blessings to chase things you think will make you whole. Let me tell you something. If you can't appreciate what's in your hands now, you won't appreciate what's coming later. If you can't celebrate the small wins, you won't feel satisfied with the big ones. Because happiness is not built in the future, it's built in the present. And if you don't train yourself to see it now, you'll miss it when it's right in front of you. That's why some people hit their goals and still feel empty. They thought the missing thing would fill them, but they never learned how to value the things that were already there. It's like planting a seed and standing over it every day, complaining that it's not a tree yet. You forget that the fact you even have a seed is a blessing. You forget that you have the ability to water it, to nurture it, to watch it grow. You're too busy looking at someone else's fully grown tree and saying, oh, why don't I have that yet? Instead, focus on what's in your soil. Work with what's present. That's where your power is. Here's another truth. When you start focusing on what's here, your creativity kicks in. You stop saying, I can't because I don't have. And you start saying, how can I use what I do have to make it happen? That shift in thinking changes everything. I've seen people build businesses with almost nothing because they refuse to dwell on what was missing. I've seen families find joy in the small's home because they focus on the love inside instead of the square footage. I've seen people create opportunities out of thin air because they refuse to let their lack define them. And you got to protect this mindset, because the world will always try to point you toward what you don't have. Advertisers make billions doing this. They convince you that happiness is on the other side of buying something you don't own yet. Now, social media algorithms feed you a highlight reel to people's lives, so you keep chasing what's missing. If you're not careful, you'll spend your entire life in a loop of not enough, chasing the next thing instead of living in the now. I'm not saying you shouldn't want more. I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals or dreams. I'm saying don't let the pursuit of more blind you to the miracle of now. Don't let the gaps distract you from the ground you've already covered. You can be grateful for what you have and still hungry for what's next. But gratitude has to come first. Otherwise, when you get a next, you still won't feel complete. So here's what I want you to do. Every day, I want you to name 3 things that are present in your life right now that you're grateful for. Not things you're hoping for, not things you're working for, not things you're working toward, things that are here today. It could be as big as your family or as small as the coffee you're drinking. But train your mind to see what's here. Because if you don't train it, the default setting is to see what's missing. You also have to practice redirecting your focus in the moment. When you catch yourself thinking, I wish I had, stop and say, what do I have? When you feel yourself spiraling into comparison, stop and say, what's good in my life right now? This isn't about ignoring problems. It's about not letting them become only reality. When you focus on what's present, you live lighter. You stop carrying the weight of every gap you see. You stop feeling like you're always behind. You start to see the beauty in the process, not just the finish line. And that's when happiness stops being this far-off destination and starts being something you can feel today. The truth is, life is a mixture of what's here and what's missing. You'll never have it all, but you'll always have something. The question is, which will you spend your time looking at? Because whatever you look at will grow in your mind. If you keep staring at the lack, you'll live in lack. If you keep staring at the blessings, you'll live in abundance, no matter how much or how little you have. So I'm challenging you today, shift your focus. The secret to feeling rich isn't having everything you want. It's wanting what you already have. And when you master that, you'll find that you already have more than you thought. And that right there, that's where true happiness begins. Happiness grows from appreciation. Let me break this down for you. Appreciation is like sunlight for your soul. The more you give it, the more life it produces. The more you practice it, the more it multiplies. But here's where most people miss it. They think happiness comes first, and then they'll start appreciating things. They think, once I'm happy, I'll be grateful. No, that's backwards. It's appreciation that plants the seeds for happiness to grow. Think about it. When you appreciate something, you magnify its value. When you stop and acknowledge what something means to you, it takes up more space in your heart. It becomes more than just a thing or a moment. It becomes a source of joy. And here's the kicker. You can appreciate something without it being perfect. You can appreciate your job even if it's not your dream job. You can appreciate your car even if it's not brand new. You can appreciate the people in your life even though they have flaws. Appreciation doesn't require perfection. It just requires attention. The problem is we've been trained to overlook what's already here while chasing what's next. We don't pause long enough to appreciate the little victories because we're too busy sprinting toward the next milestone. We get a win and immediately move on without celebrating it. We eat a meal without thinking about the hands that prepared it or the fact that we have food at all. We spend time with people we love, but we're glued to our phones, giving our attention to strangers online. We are surrounded by blessings we never acknowledge, and then we wonder why happiness feels so far away. I've seen people in some of the toughest conditions you can imagine who are still happy. Not because life is easy, but because they've learned to appreciate even the smallest things. I've met people who live in tiny homes with barely enough to get by, but they radiate joy because they take time to be grateful for what they do have. A roof over their head, a warm meal, a laugh shared with family. And then I've seen people with everything: money, status, opportunities. And they're miserable because they're always looking at what they don't have. That's the difference. Happiness isn't about having more, it's about appreciating more. Appreciation is a habit, and like any habit, you have to build it. It doesn't happen by accident. You have to slow down enough to notice the details. You have to train your mind to see what's good before it sees what's wrong. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you won't even have to remind yourself. You will start feeling gratitude automatically when something good happens, no matter how small. You also have to understand that appreciation changes your energy. When you genuinely appreciate something, you give off a different vibe. People can feel it. They want to be around you because you make them feel valued. Opportunities come your way because people trust you'll value them. It's like the universe responds to appreciation. When you show you value what you have, you get more to value. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but my life's not in a place where there's much to appreciate. And I hear you. I'm not saying your struggles aren't real, but I'm telling you, there's always something, always. You might have to dig for it. You might have to look harder on some days, but it's there. It might be the fact that you woke up this morning. It might be the fact that you have one person in your corner cheering you on. It might be the fact that you've made it through things you didn't think you'd survive. If you can appreciate just one thing, it can change how you approach your day. Here's the other thing. Appreciation builds resilience. When life gets hard, the people who can still find something to be grateful for are the ones who keep going. They don't let the weight of what's wrong crush them because they keep their eyes on what's right. It doesn't erase the pain, but it keeps the pain from erasing the joy. And that's huge because your mindset in tough time determines how quickly you bounce back. I'll give you a personal example. There were times early in my journey when I didn't know how I was going to make it. Bills were piling up, doors were closing, and I felt like the vision in my head was so far from reality. But I made a choice to appreciate the small things. A conversation with a friend who encouraged me, a moment of clarity about my next step, the fact that I had the health to keep grinding. Those moments of appreciation didn't solve my problems instantly, but they gave me the strength to keep going until the problems were solved. That's the power of appreciation. It fuels persistence. If you really want happiness to grow in your life, you have to start watering it with appreciation every single day. That means being intentional about it. Write it down. Say it out loud. Tell people you value them while you have the chance. Don't assume they know. Tell them. Don't just think, I'm lucky to have this. Pause and acknowledge it. The act of expressing appreciation cements it in your heart. And this isn't just about people or things. It's about moments too. Appreciate the walk you take in the morning. Appreciate the way the sun feels on your skin. Appreciate the fact that you can hear your favorite song. These little acknowledgments add up. You might think they're small, but happiness is built from small moments stacked on top of each other. If you can appreciate the small things daily, you'll find yourself feeling happier more often without even realizing it. One of the best ways to grow appreciation is to stop and remember what you once prayed for. There was a time you wanted exactly what you have now. There was a time you dreamed of this life, even if it's not perfect. Go back to that mindset and see how far you've come. When you realize that the things you have now used to be on your wish list, it's a lot easier to appreciate them. Another way is to take inventory during hard times. When you're going through it, write down what's still good. It might be shorter than you like, but I promise you it's there. And as you focus on those things, you'll notice your spirit lifting just enough to take the next step. Here's the truth. Appreciation isn't magic, but it's close. It won't erase all your problems, but it will change the way you experience life. And when your experience of life changes, your actions change. You work harder when you appreciate the opportunity to work. You love deeper when you appreciate the people in your life. You live fuller when you appreciate the fact that you're alive. So don't wait for happiness to knock on your door. Start appreciating what's already in the room. Start appreciating what's already in your heart. Because the more you do, the more happiness will grow. And before you know it, you'll be living the kind of joy most people spend their whole lives chasing. Comparison kills joy. And I need you to let that sink in for a second. Nothing will drain your happiness faster than constantly measuring your life against someone else's. It's like you're running your own race, but every few steps you're turning your head to see where everybody else is. And when you do that, you're not just slowing down, you're setting yourself up to trip. Because the truth is, you can't focus on your own path while staring at someone else. This is the trap so many people are stuck in right now. Social media has turned our lives into a 24/7 highlight reel competition. You wake up, open your phone, and before you've even brushed your teeth, you're seeing somebody else's vacation, somebody else's new car, somebody else's perfect family. And without even realizing it, you start looking at your own life through the lens of I'm behind. You could have been feeling good about yourself 5 minutes ago, but now you feel like you're not enough. Because you're comparing your behind the scenes to somebody else's edited version of reality. Here's the problem. Comparison isn't just unfair, it's unrealistic. You're comparing your real messy, complicated life to someone else's curated, filtered, carefully framed snapshots. You don't see their struggles, their doubts, their sleepless nights. You only see the parts they choose to share. And even if you did know the whole story, their past still wouldn't be your path. Your timeline isn't their timeline. Your calling isn't their calling. The race you're in was designed for you. And yet, even knowing that, we still fall into the trap. Why? Because comparison feeds on our insecurity. It looks for the places where we already feel less than and magnifies them. If you already doubt your career, seeing someone else's promotion will make you feel worse. If you already struggle with your body image, seeing someone else's fitness post will cut deeper. The more you compare, the more you confirm the false belief that you're not enough. But here's what I've learned. The cure for comparison is gratitude and focus. When you're truly focused on your own growth, you don't have time to obsess over somebody else. When you're truly grateful for what you have, you stop needing to measure it against what others have. It's like putting blinders on a racehorse. Not because you're afraid of what's around you, but because you know that looking around will slow you down. I remember when I first started out speaking, I see other motivational speakers crushing it on big stages, working with big names, and I'd be like, oh man, when's it gonna be my turn? I start questioning if I was even good enough. But then I realized every time I focused on them, I was taking energy away from building my craft. I was so busy watching their moves that I wasn't making my own. In the moment, I shifted my focus back to my lane, my preparation, my delivery, my audience. My growth exploded, not because the competition went away, but because I stopped letting it control my mindset. You've got to understand, your life has its own rhythm. Some people will take off faster than you. Some will seem to be way ahead. And that's fine. You don't know what they've sacrificed to get there. You don't know what battles they're fighting behind closed doors. And you don't know how long they're able to sustain it. What you do know is what you can control. Your effort, your attitude, your consistency. Comparison robs you in two ways. It steals your joy when you feel behind. And it steals your humility when you feel ahead. That's right. It works both ways. If you're comparing, you think you're doing better than someone else, you start getting complacent. You stop pushing yourself because you feel like you've already won. But the truth is, the only person you should be competing with is who you were yesterday. If you're not growing, it doesn't matter how you stack up against someone else, you're still stuck. There's also this dangerous thing comparison does, where it blinds you to your own progress. You might be making huge strides, but because you're comparing to someone further ahead, you convince yourself you're failing. It's like climbing a mountain and refusing to celebrate reaching a new height. Sights can see someone else closer to the top. You forget that you've come miles from where you started. And when you can't see your own progress, you lose motivation to keep going. That's why I tell people, Document your own journey. Write down your wins, even a small one. Take time to reflect on where you were a year ago, 5 years ago. If you're always looking sideways, you'll miss how far forward you've moved. But when you look back at your own starting line, you'll see growth you didn't even realize was happening. You also have to protect yourself from the comparison triggers. If scrolling Instagram leaves you feeling worse about your life, then limit your time there. If certain people in your circle constantly make you feel like you're a less than, then create some distance. You don't have to cut yourself off from the world, but you do have to guard your mental space. Because comparison thrives when you keep feeding with images, conversations, and environments that make you question your worth. And here's something else. Celebrate other people's wins without making them a reflection of your worth. Somebody else's success doesn't take away from yours. Their blessing doesn't mean you're cursed. In fact, if you can learn to genuinely be happy for others, it frees you from that scarcity mindset that says, if they win, I lose. No, there's enough for everyone. And when you celebrate someone else's victory, you're training your mind to see success as possible for you too. I also need you to hear this. The person you're comparing yourself to might be looking at you wishing they had what you had. You think they're ahead because they got something you want, but you don't realize they might be struggling in an area you've mastered. That's why comparison is such a lie. It's based on half the truth at best. You never have the full picture, so why waste your energy trying to measure against it? Instead, take that energy and invest it into becoming the best version of you. Set goals that have nothing to do with anyone else's pace. Focus on the habits, the skills, and the mindset that will move you forward. And when you do peek over at someone else's lane, let it be for inspiration, not competition. Learn from them, but don't let them define your worth. At the end of the day, comparison is a choice. You can choose to let it eat away at you, or you can choose to shut it down and focus on your own race. And every time you feel that urge to measure yourself against someone else, I want you to stop and ask, am I better than I was yesterday? Am I moving closer to my goals? Because if the answer is yes, you're winning, no matter what anybody else is doing. So protect your joy. Put your blinders on. Run your race with everything you got, knowing that the only finish line that matters is the one you're headed toward. Because the moment you stop comparing, you start living. And that's when happiness stops being something you're chasing and starts being something you're carrying with you every step of the way. Gratitude is a muscle, and like any muscle, it only grows when you use it. People talk about wanting to be more thankful, wanting to be more positive, wanting to be happier, but they treat gratitude like it's something that just happens when life is good. That's not how it works. You can't wait for the perfect day, the perfect relationship, or the perfect opportunity to feel grateful. You have to train it daily, especially on the days when it's hardest. That's when it counts the most. See, most people think gratitude is a reaction. Something good happens. They say a thank you. That's basic. That's surface level. But real gratitude, the kind that changes you, isn't just a reaction, it's a discipline. It's something you do on purpose. And the more you do it, the stronger it gets. Over time, it stops being something you remember to do and becomes part of who you are. The problem is, if you're not intentional about building it, the muscle of gratitude can atrophy. Life will pull your attention toward what's wrong. It will keep feeding you reasons to complain, reasons to feel like you're behind, reasons to be frustrated. And if you let that become your default, that's all you'll see. The brain is like a search engine. Whatever you tell it to look for, will find. If you tell it to look for problems, it will serve them up all day long. If you tell it to look for blessings, it will find those instead. But you have to program it every single day. That's why I tell people, gratitude has to be part of your daily routine. You wouldn't go to the gym once, lift a few weights, and expect to stay strong forever. You work the muscle daily. Same with gratitude. Maybe that means starting your morning by writing down 3 things you're thankful for. Maybe it means pausing at the end of the day to reflect on one good thing that happened, no matter how small. Maybe it means telling one person every day that you appreciate them. These small actions add up, and just like lifting weights, the more you do them, the more capacity you build. And here's the truth. The days you least feel like practicing gratitude are the days you need it the most. It's easy to be thankful when you get the job, when you close the deal, when you hit the milestone. It's harder when things are falling apart. But that's where the strength comes from. Think about it. Lifting a heavy weight is what makes you stronger. Practicing gratitude in the middle of a storm is the same thing. You're not pretending the storm doesn't exist. You're just refusing to let it take away your ability to see what's still good. There's also this compound effect that comes with building the gratitude muscle. At first, it might feel awkward or forced. You might have to really think about what to be thankful for. But over time, you start noticing more and more without even trying. The little things jump out at you. The smile from a stranger, the way the sun hits the trees, the text from a friend checking in. You stop taking things for granted because your brain is trained to see them, and that shift changes everything. I can tell you from my own life, there were times when things looked so bleak that gratitude felt almost impossible. Times when I was broke, tired, and wondering if the vision I had was even worth chasing anymore. But I made a choice to keep finding something to be grateful for every day. Sometimes it was as small as, still got my help, or I still woke up this morning with breath in my lungs. Other times it was, I still have people in my life who believe in me. Those small acts of gratitude didn't erase the challenges, but they gave me the mindset to face them. That's the power of building the muscle. It gives you strength you didn't know you had. Here's another thing. Gratitude is contagious. When you practice it daily, people feel it. Your energy changes. You start showing up differently in relationships, at work, in your community. People respond to that energy. Doors open because people want to work with someone who brings positivity and appreciation to the table. That's not a good vibes only nonsense. That's a very real shift in how people perceive and treat you. Gratitude makes you magnetic, and it's not just about how others respond to you, it's about how you respond to life. When you build that muscle, setbacks don't hit you the same way. Instead of spiraling into negativity, your brain starts looking for solutions. Instead of focusing on the loss, you start focusing on what you can still gain. That resilience is built rep by rep, day by day through the discipline of gratitude. But let me be clear, this isn't a one and done thing. You can't build the muscle and then stop using it. If you stop training it, life will pull you back toward complaining and focusing on what's wrong. That's why gratitude isn't just a phase, it's a lifestyle. You keep it going by making it part of your identity. You're not just a person who sometimes says thank you. You're someone who lives in a constant state of looking for the good. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't even know where to start. My situation is rough right now. If that's you, I want you to start small. You don't have to write a novel of thankfulness. Start with one thing you can acknowledge today that's good in your life. Write it down. Say it out loud and do it again tomorrow. Over time, you'll notice that list growing. Not because your life magically changed overnight, but because your eyes got better at spotting what was already there. Also, don't keep your gratitude locked inside. When you appreciate someone, tell them. Don't assume they know. Don't wait until a special occasion. When you express gratitude out loud, it not only strengthens your own muscle, it strengthens your connection with that person. It deepens relationships and creates a ripple effect. They're more likely to pass that gratitude forward. One more thing. Practicing gratitude daily doesn't mean ignoring problems. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means choosing to acknowledge what's good alongside what's challenging. It's not denial, it's balance. If you only focus on problems, you'll drown in them. Gratitude keeps you afloat. And when you really commit to building this muscle, you start realizing something powerful. Gratitude isn't just a tool for happiness, it's a foundation for it. Without it, happiness is fragile, dependent on circumstances. With it, happiness becomes steady because it's rooted in how you choose to see the world, not just in what the world gives you. So treat gratitude like your daily workout. No excuses, no skipping days. Whether you feel like it or not, you show up and you put in the reps. And little by little, you'll find yourself stronger, more resilient, and yes, happier. Because gratitude isn't just something you do when life is good. It's something you do to make life good. One of the greatest mistakes people make when it comes to happiness is believing it's a solo mission. They think if they can just get their personal life right, the right job, the right mindset, the right health routine, they'll finally feel complete. And while those things matter, there's another piece to the puzzle that's just as critical. The people you surround yourself with. The company you keep is like the environment you train in. You can have all the personal discipline in the world, but if you're trained in a toxic environment, your growth will always be limited. Here's the truth. Your circle can either feed your gratitude or drain it. Some people bring out the best in you. They encourage you, challenge you, celebrate you. Being around them makes you want to be better. They make you notice the good in life more often. Other people, though, bring the opposite energy. They complain constantly. They gossip. They focus on problems instead of solutions. Spend enough time with them, and you'll start absorbing their negativity without even realizing it. It's like secondhand smoke for your mindset. If you want to truly live in a state of thankfulness, you need to intentionally build relationships that support it. That means being around people who see possibility where others see problems. People who talk about ideas instead of tearing down others. People who celebrate wins, theirs and yours, without jealousy or comparison. Because gratitude isn't just something you practice alone in a journal. It's something you share, something you reinforce through the energy of your relationships. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut everyone out of your life, whoever complains. That's not realistic, and sometimes it's not even possible. But you do need to be mindful of balance. If most of your time is spent with people who are stuck in negativity, it's going to pull you down. You can try to be the positive one in the group, but if you're outnumbered, you'll eventually start bending toward their energy. The solution is to intentionally seek out people who elevate you, who make gratitude feel natural. And let's be real. Finding those people sometimes means you have to level up yourself first. Like attracts like. If you want to attract people who live with gratitude, you have to be someone who lives with gratitude. Gratitude. You can't be the one always complaining and then wonder why your circle is full of complainers. The best way to find good energy is to bring it yourself. Show up with appreciation. Show up with encouragement. Show up ready to celebrate other people's success. You'll be surprised how quickly that energy draws the right people towards you. I remember when I first started surrounding myself with other driven, positive people, it was like fuel for my own growth. We push each other, hold each other accountable, and celebrate every win, no matter how small. That environment didn't just help me build my career, it helped me build my gratitude muscle. Because when you're around people who are grateful, it rubs off. They'll point out blessings you missed. They'll help you reframe setbacks in a way you couldn't see on your own. But here's the other side of it. Sometimes the people closest to you aren't going to understand your gratitude journey. They might think you're being unrealistic or naive. They might try to pull you back into complaining because that's the language they speak. This is where boundaries come in. You can still love those people, but you have to limit how much of their energy you absorb. Sometimes that means seeing them less often. Sometimes it means steering conversations toward topics that don't drain you. Sometimes it means having the courage to say, I'm not going to focus on that right now. You also have to realize that your gratitude can be a gift to others, just like negativity spreads. So there's thankfulness. When you make a habit of expressing appreciation, not just for things, but for people, you create an atmosphere where others feel value. That's powerful, because when people feel value, they're more likely to value others, and the ripple effect keeps going. Gratitude turns your relationships into safe spaces where encouragement is the default, not criticism. Another key part of building gratitude relationships is learning to celebrate others without making it about you. Too many people can't genuinely be happy for someone else because they're too busy comparing. But when you're grateful for your own blessing, you stop feeling threatened by someone else's. You can cheer them on without it taking anything away from you. And when you start doing that consistently, people notice. They trust you more. They want you in their corner. One thing I've learned over the years is that gratitude thrives in community. Sure, you can practice it alone, but it multiplies when it's shared. Think about it. When you share good news with someone who's genuinely happy for you, that joy doubles. When you face a challenge and someone helps you see